Okay, I want to get to my low, my high, my act of kindness before I really discuss what I'm about to discuss today. So, let's see, what was my low? I guess my low is the fact that I felt kind of drowsy last night, I guess. So I went to bed early. And I guess I wanted to be for the best because I was finally able to wake up at a time I really wanted to wake up. So that was cool. My high is the fact that I was actually right about last night's NFL pick because I picked the Browns to win. And everyone I was talking to yesterday was picking the Broncos. I knew better. And my act of kindness was... Actually, what was my act of kindness? Holy cow. Oh, right. I assisted my grandfather with something. My grandmother with something. Not my grandmother with something. It was nothing major. Just something pretty easy to do. Anyone can do it. Not really worth getting into. Anyway, good morning and happy Friday, everybody. We're already at the weekend. I can't believe it either. So, I was sort of debating whether or not to talk about this. I mean, before I really do get into it, I could talk about yesterday's episode of Hot Ones. That was great. CL handled herself really well. I was very impressed. Like, she thought she was going to do bad, but no, she did fine. She actually handled herself about as good as I expect anyone to. So, kudos. But that's not the important thing for today. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a great episode of Hot Ones. It's just, that's not what I want to talk about right now. Last week I talked about how a channel I watched, known as Totally Not Mark, is talking about Naruto, which I explained a little bit last week, but if you weren't there, I mentioned how when I was in high school, I was like really depressed. And Naruto is, really nothing truly helped me get out of feeling depressed, but it helped. And sometimes that's all I could do. In a good way, of course. So, needless to say, I actually have a very strong connection to Naruto. And the fact that Totally Not Mark was talking about that made me think that, when he's done talking about it, I'll probably go into, my thoughts on the series as a whole. And that was the original plan. And I'm still going to do that, to be sure. Here's the thing. If you want to know my real history with Naruto, I watched the anime when it first came out in America. And this is back when anime was really starting to be a lot better about premiering in the West. So needless to say, I saw Naruto from the very beginning. But I was in college, specifically my freshman year, when I started reading the manga. And I'll be getting into why I read the manga a lot more than watching the anime when I get into, talking about my thoughts on the series overall. After Totally Not Mark is done with talking about Naruto, that is. So, and here's the thing. Naruto is long. Not One Piece long, no. Like, One Piece was made when Naruto was made. And One Piece is still going on. And it was 2014, 2015 when Naruto ended. That was 700 chapters of manga. It's long. No doubt about it. So for me to talk about my thoughts on the series as a whole really would be difficult for me to do with just one video. So I think what I'll do is, after each and every day that Totally Not Mark does a Naruto video on a certain part of the story, I'll talk about what my thought, because remember, I saw Naruto from the very beginning. I know what my thoughts were. I want to see what his thoughts were first before I get into my thoughts. Because if you ever watch Totally Not Mark, he is far better at analyzing a story than I could ever hope to be. I am a casual fan at best, but that's okay, because I knew nothing about anime going into Naruto all those years ago. So, did my thoughts on the series change or anything? Well, I can't really talk about that without first getting into every part that Totally Not Mark is talking about. So, last week he talked about the introduction to the story and the Land of Waves. And yesterday he talked about the Chunin exams. So for this video, I'll talk about, both of those parts and how I reacted to them when I was younger. So with that being said, when I first watched Naruto, I immediately gravitated towards him. In fact, a lot of people I talked to did. For those of you who don't know, Naruto's ultimate goal in the series was to become the Hokage. Kage meaning shadow, Ho meaning fire, as in the land of fire, that's where Naruto lives. Specifically in the village hidden in the leaves. But it's in the land of fire. So basically, the Hokage is essentially the leader of the village. Fair enough. The Kage is shadows over the village, if you will. Not in a negative way, obviously. So, the problem with Naruto and why he wanted to achieve that goal is he won that goal, and it's great, but he was dubbed the social outcast. Because many years ago, a creature known as the Nine-Tailed Fox attacked the village. The fourth Hokage defeated the Nine-Tailed Fox and sealed that demon inside Naruto. And obviously, a killer demon that, tried to destroy the village and it's inside a boy's body, yeah, it's going to make him a social outcast, to be sure. So basically, Naruto had an uphill battle going for him. But that's okay. Because in spite of all odds, he never gave up. He knew what he wanted his dream to be. He wanted to be accepted. He wanted to be, the person that everyone in the village looked up to. Now, obviously, this is the beginning of the story. He's got a long way to go. So, basically, the introduction in the Land of Waves was us sort of the beginning of the story, obviously. Like how Naruto meets his two teammates, Sakura and Sasuke, who, to put things simple, Sakura has a huge crush on Sasuke and obviously is not really paying attention to Naruto at all. And Sasuke is the moody type who actually has his own goal of avenging his family by killing a certain someone. And you also meet Kakashi Sensei, who, at the time, I probably would have told you he was my favorite character. Kakashi was awesome. And the fact that in English he was voiced by David Wittenberg, he was awesome too. So, yeah. Kakashi was awesome. So, around the time of the Land of Waves, by the time it was over, Naruto left that mission having figured out, what his ninja way was going to be. Including the fact that he was never going to give up, which he doesn't. It was also the fact that he was going to change things because in the world of Shinobi at this time, emotions kind of take a backseat. It's really more for, if you have to choose between saving the life of a comrade and making the mission successful, you're supposed to pick the latter. And put all your emotions aside. If someone dies, that dies. He didn't want that. He wanted to change that. He basically wanted a way, without realizing it, he wanted to promote peace. And that was really cool. And we also leave the arc knowing maybe there's more to the demon that's inside that meets the eye. That's another thing. So now we get to the Chunin exams, which basically, in the world of Naruto, if you're a shinobi or a ninja, there are, levels. A genin, which is what Naruto is, that's where he started off. Chunin is the next level. Jonin, which is who Kakashi Sensei is, and pretty much then Hokage. And so basically, if you could become a Chunin, that's one step closer to Naruto achieving his dream. Throughout this arc, you also get a larger sense of how the world works. You meet new characters, specifically the people from the village hidden in the sand, the rest of the Konoha, or the Leaf Village is 11. Basically, like the 11 characters that, including Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, you know, the other main people that you learn to meet and stuff. And there's one aspect of the Chunin exams in which there's this one guy, his name is Neji. And he basically grew up learning that you are born into the life you are dealt with and you cannot change your destiny. I don't want to get into the specifics now because I'll put a link to the description of the video that Totally Not Marked it down below. But you are born to what you're born in, and you can't change it. There's no changing your destiny. Naruto said, no, that's not how it works. I'll change that. And so Naruto winds up beating Neji during the Chunin exams. And to this day, because here's the thing, the way Naruto beat Neji was, there was like a huge clash when they combine like their most powerful attacks together. There's a huge cloud of smoke. They're like both lying on the ground. Neji wakes up, right? Walks over to Naruto, is clear on the ground, but Naruto uses a shadow clone and like comes up right out of the ground and uppercuts Neji for the win. That was one of the coolest moments ever to me. I'm like, yeah! It still gets me hyped even now. So, yes, this was really cool. So, the two things that you can take away from the Land of Waves arc and, you know, the Chunin exams arc are the following. Like, don't give up on yourself. You know, keep, you know, the people in your life are far more important than, say, like the mission at hand or something. I mean, sometimes in life we don't see that, but that's something we can relate to, which is cool. And also, and this is something that people really need to learn, like, you could be born into, you know what? NFL players accomplish this all the time, by the way, where you could be born into like the worst circumstances, like dirt poor, you know, stuff like that. I mean, you could relegate yourself to that and say that, I mean, I'm sure you could live a good life that way, I suppose. But that doesn't have to define you. Like, you can totally rise above it and become an overall better person. In fact, full disclosure, and you know what? I'm just realizing this now. Naruto helped me become a better athlete in high school. Because I picked up on all the habits like working hard, training, making better choices. And I followed that in all my years of being an athlete. And no, I wasn't like a world-class athlete or anything or someone to write home about. But you know what? It made a difference. So, yeah. In the end, I guess I'm kind of glad that I talked about this. And I'm glad that for now, I'm going to continue to make that a thing. At least for as long as Totally Not Mark is doing Naruto videos. Which, I mean, Naruto is an anime that's lasted many years. Of course, it's like spin-off movies and stuff. I'm not going to get into those. I'm just going to be talking about like the main story, the thing that Totally Not Mark is going to be talking about, the specific part of the story that I Totally Not Mark is going to talk about. And if I feel like there's a lesson to be learned, I'll talk about that like I just did here. So, if nothing else, take away the fact that you shouldn't give up on yourself. The people in your life you meet can matter a lot more than you think. And just because you're born under not favorable circumstances, that doesn't have to define you. And One day I'll get into something that has always plagued me. But for now, I can tell you that the past doesn't matter. It doesn't define me. I can look back on it. I can learn from it. But that's not who I am. The person who I am is what you see on camera right now. Like, favorite, share, subscribe button, follow me on social media notifications on YouTube. I'm very home music video for all of you guys watching Joe for the name of a wonderful, wonderful Friday. And remember, if you guys want to talk to Jim, we'll be here to lend you know, I'll be back. Take care and make good choices. See ya.